Hi, welcome to the section of this course which is about GitHub Desktop. If you are tired and sick of using terminal for running GitHub, you are at the right place. If you do not wish to use terminal altogether, you are again at the right place. In this part of the course, I will teach you how to install GitHub Desktop, how to use it, how to perform basic operations, and also how to use it for advanced things like website development. I have been using GitHub Desktop for the last 3 to 4 years, perhaps, and I work on web development. I have worked on mobile app development, desktop application development. I am a co-founder of our company, Visuara, and never once I have had any issue while using GitHub Desktop. It has made my life so much easier. My name is Dr. Sridhar Panat. I am one of the 3 co-founders of Visuara, and I'm also one of the instructors for this course. So let us start. GitHub Desktop in one sentence, it's the easiest way to use GitHub. Many people might differ. They will say that no, terminal is the easiest way to use GitHub. I disagree. I would say GitHub Desktop is the easiest way to use GitHub. It is also probably the easiest way for one to start using GitHub as a complete beginner. If you are a beginner, I highly recommend you to start with GitHub Desktop. It is a software which you install on your computer and you download it from the GitHub's website. And GitHub Desktop makes it easy to operate GitHub. GitHub makes it easy to host and share Git repositories online, right? So that's how you should think about GitHub, and GitHub Desktop. There are clearly 2 schools of thoughts. There is one group of people who are extremely experienced in coding. They are very, very proficient at using terminal, and they absolutely hate GitHub Desktop. They think it's for amateurs, and they think it is so shameful to use GitHub Desktop. I, on the other hand, I am of the other school of thought that you should use whatever makes your life easy. And GitHub Desktop makes my life much more easy compared to using terminal for running GitHub. And therefore, I will always shamelessly, I'll be a big proponent of GitHub Desktop. So if you are shameless, you are welcome to join my team, and please use GitHub Desktop. And it's as simple as using a software. If you use any other softwares that you install on your Windows or Mac or whatever operating system you use, because it's a graphical user interface. The screenshot that I'm showing right now, it is the GUI, graphical user interface from GitHub Desktop. You see, these are all buttons that you just click, and with just mouse clicks, you can call terminal commands. I mean, indirectly, you won't see any of that, but basically you are indirectly, running the terminal equivalents of terminal commands by just clicking these buttons. So instead of typing code or instead of copy pasting terminal commands, you just click mouse button. This mouse button click over here will help you change the branch from master branch to something else. Master branch does not exist anymore. It's called as main branch, but this helps you do that. With a mouse click here, you can fetch all the changes or the latest version of the cloud GitHub repository into your local machine. With just click of a button, you can commit changes to the main branch or master branch. All of this is possible, even cloning repositories. So you don't have to write any terminal commands, and I'm pretty sure you will find it very good. And in the past 4 years of developing various products, various features for our startups, I have never once encountered any issue with GitHub Desktop other than making actual rookie mistakes, which I will cover in this part of the course. So the first step is installation of GitHub. So you can go to this link or Google just GitHub Desktop. I'll show you how to do that. If you have not created an account in GitHub already, I highly recommend you to do this step right now. You pause the video and do this. Basically, type GitHub, and this is the GitHub website. Just go there and just create an account. I have already created an account, and that's what you are seeing here. And this is how your profile would look like. So github.com/Sridhar. And it shows you the different different repositories that I have been working on, some contributions I've been making as I was developing some stuff, and this is how it will look like once you create the repository for you. If you have not contributed much, this part will look like just gray color. There won't be any green items. So here you can see clearly the months where I've not been actively coding and all that. But this is a fairly easy step, so please do this. After this, search GitHub Desktop on Google, and that will show you the website from which you can download GitHub Desktop. So click this. This will open the website, and since I'm using a Mac OS, it will show download for Mac OS. If you're using Windows, you can do the same. It might be a little bit tricky if you're using Linux or Ubuntu, I think. But you can figure it out. But here you see this is for Windows, and just click to download it for Mac. So after downloading, it will be just like how you install a normal software. You just install it. And after installing on GitHub Desktop, you will have to log in to your GitHub account. So first create GitHub account online, then download GitHub Desktop. And in GitHub Desktop, you log into your GitHub account. Okay. So once you are done till that stage, you are good to go. So if you have not done these two steps, pause the video right now and just do that. So once you have installed GitHub Desktop, it may look something like this or slightly different. You have to just log in to your GitHub account from GitHub Desktop. So GitHub Desktop, you operate from your computer. GitHub, the repositories themselves, creation and all that, you can do it on GitHub. You can also create repository here in GitHub Desktop itself, but let's do that on GitHub so that you can see how changes are reflecting there. So let's go back to GitHub website, and here all you need to do is go to repositories. You probably won't have any repositories in the beginning, so I just click this part and then click new. This is how you initiate a new repository, and here maybe I will write something like Visuara course, or rather Visuara GitHub course. Right? So this is available. So what does this mean? It simply means that the local path, the actual path for this repository will be github.com/sridath/Visuara GitHub course. So what this means is this particular repository name is available for me. Even if the same name is taken by someone else, it is still available for me. So here it's checking only if I have created something similar in the past on my own GitHub account. And I have not done this, which is why it's available. And I'll keep it public so that I can share the repository link to you, and you can also try maybe creating pull requests to this repository later. So that is public. And I don't want to add a README file right now, so let me skip that. It's a good practice to add README file, but it's okay. I'll skip that. Now all of this, I don't want to add any of this, so let me just click create repository. So this created the repository. You see Sridath/ so you just look at the URL, github.com/Sridath/Visuara GitHub course. Now here in this section code, you will not see that, you will see that there are no files existing in this repository, simply because we have not added any file, and we have also not added the README file. So this is completely empty, and that's okay. Now what you can do is, if you have GitHub Desktop installed already, you might see a button like this, setup in GitHub, setup in desktop. So all you need to do is click here. Alternately, you can also copy this URL and you can go to GitHub Desktop. I'll take the easy way. I'll just click setup in desktop. So let me click this. So when I click this, I was automatically taken to GitHub Desktop, and it created this pop-up. In the pop-up, it's asking me the repository link that I am supposed to clone. So here we are cloning a repository. And what is cloning? Cloning simply means the repository that is there on GitHub Cloud, I am bringing, or I'm making a copy of that in my local computer. That is what cloning means. You see the clone a repository over here. You can also do the same thing by clicking file, clone repository. You can also do that. But here you will have to paste the URL manually. So you'll have to go here and copy this and or rather copy the URL and paste here. And then that will also create a local path. So what is this local path? Local path is the local folder in which we'll be creating the copy of the GitHub repository. Whatever is there in the cloud, we'll be creating a copy locally. And this is the path in which it will be created. If you're using Windows, this path will look different. You can also define your custom path. But this has to be the URL of the repo. If you don't want to use URL, if you want to use this this link, then I think you'll have to switch to github.com. Find your repositories or URL. I think if you paste this here, it might work. Let's see. It might work either way. So let me click clone. It might work. Yeah. So cloning has been done. Now there is only, you can see that there is a main branch here, but you also see that this option shows publish branch. So why is this showing publish branch? Can you guess? It's showing publish branch because currently there are no branches. We have not created anything in the GitHub repository on the cloud. So whenever I say cloud, imagine GitHub website. Maybe I can use the terminology website to make it easy for you so that it's not confusing. So GitHub website, in GitHub website, we have not created any branch, which is why here it shows publish the branch. But before we publish the branch, we have to add something, right? So right now, how does the GitHub repository look like locally? Locally, it will look something like this. For that, I can just click repository, go to repository and show in Finder. Since I'm using Mac, it shows show in Finder. If you're using Windows, it might be something else. But basically, see this Visuara GitHub course, it's an empty folder. It has nothing. So maybe I can just create like a file. What should I do? Maybe I should create a txt file or something. So let me do text editor. And so here I'm opening the text editor and I'll create a new document, test. Then let me save this. It will ask me to save somewhere. So I'll save this as test something. Okay, so I have saved the test document here. Now, the beauty of GitHub Desktop is that it can automatically detect this change. So we made a change, right? There are two changes that we made. I'll pause for 2 seconds. Just think about what are those two changes. The two changes are I created the file and I added some content, right? I created the file called test and I also added some content. I think the content was the text called test within the file. So now if I click on GitHub Desktop, you will see that it has recognized the change. So where do you see the two changes? One is this plus button. This plus green color button shows that this rich text document has been created. Its name is test.rtf. And within that, I have added some text. If I had saved this as a .txt file, maybe it will look different. So what I'll do is maybe I'll go back to this file. I'll go back to this file and let me open this. And there is an option here to format, make plain text. Okay, it is converted into a plain text. And I guess now it will be of txt format. I hope. It might be txt, I think. So let me go back to GitHub Desktop. Yeah. So now it is in txt format. So there are two changes. Test.txt was created, which is why the plus icon is there. And this one line with plus shows that one line was added and the content of that line was test. Now let's go back to GitHub website and you should see that it is still empty. Although we have created this file called test.txt, it is not reflecting in the GitHub website. Why is that the case? It's simply because we have not uploaded the changes from our local computer into the GitHub cloud or the GitHub website. And this is exactly how you can work on things without affecting, you can work on things locally without affecting what is there in the cloud. And then only when you decide you want to make a change, you can push it. So let's do that now. And I hope that by now you understand what a repository means. So currently, what is our repository? A repository is simply this folder, Visuara GitHub course. This is the repository, the clone of the repository locally. What is the repository on GitHub? The same thing. This basically this link. This link takes us to that repository. It is a place where all these things, all these files, whatever file we put here and upload into GitHub Cloud, whatever it is, it will show up in this link, github.com/sridhar/Visuara GitHub course. So when I say repository, you can think a folder. Online repository means a repository that is on GitHub's cloud. Offline repository, which is a clone of the online repository, is on our local computer. It is within a folder. Now let us, what should we do is let's push these changes. But before we push the change, we have to do something called committing the changes. I remember mentioning this in the early part of the course where I had made a huge mistake of making a lot of changes. I built many web pages and everything locally. I worked for 7 days, and then without committing the change, what I did is I synchronized my local repository with what was there on GitHub. And then what happened was, what was there on GitHub was something different. Someone else had worked on some changes and they had, pushed their changes into the GitHub cloud. So when I synced my local computer GitHub repository with the GitHub repository online, all the changes that I had worked for one whole week, it vanished. So I lost a lot of hours of work, maybe 40, 50 hours worth of work was gone. So this is why committing the change is very important, because when you commit the change, that change will not be lost even when you synchronize the GitHub repository with your local cloned repository. So let us do that. So let me maybe put this, the instead of test, what should I name? Initiating the repo. So I click commit to main. And now, since I click commit to main, do you think this change will reflect in the GitHub website? Let's go. Let's go and see. If I refresh, it will not reflect. Can you guess why? It will not reflect because committing is not equal to uploading. Committing is simply locally you are agreeing that this is a valid change and I want to commit this change. Only when you push the changes from your local folder into the GitHub cloud, it will reflect here in the GitHub website. So here, before pushing, it shows something called as publish this branch. Why does it show publish this branch? We did not ask to create any branch, but basically GitHub by default creates this branch called main. This main branch was previously called as master, but this master has a connotation of master slave kind of idea. So they changed the naming from master to main. And now the default branch name is called main. And here it's showing publish the branch. This is showing because the branch only exists right now in our local computer. We cloned the repository, which was completely empty. Then we created a file called test.txt. And in that process, we ended up creating this main branch. And now it shows publish the branch because the branch does not exist on GitHub website right now. So let me publish the branch. Now it has published. See, it has published now. If I go to my GitHub repository online and if I refresh, you will see that the branch called main has been created over here. See, main branch, this is the default branch. And you can see that within that main branch, the file test.txt is there. It also shows 1 minute ago. I just pushed the change. It was barely 1 minute ago. So if you open test.txt, you will see the content. Content was test. I had just typed test in this file. So this is how you initiate a GitHub repository and you add your first file. You can add a README file. You can add any file. Does not matter, but this is how you do that. Now let's do one more thing. Let's go back to GitHub desktop. Let me open the repository in Finder. And let me open this file once again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just typing. I hope you can see my the screen. If this is too small, let me just zoom in. Okay, I hope you can read now. Then I'll write my first change. So I just type my first change. Then I save this, Control S. and then I close this, which means this has been updated. Now, if I click GitHub Desktop, do you see that the plus icon is not there anymore? It is showing like a yellow dot. Can you guess why? It is showing yellow dot because I am not adding a new file now. Test.txt was already there before. The only thing that I have added is I have added this new line called my first change. And that is what is showing here. The plus icon, for some reason, it's weirdly showing I have added I have removed test, which is what this is. Minus test means I have removed the initial sentence called test. Then I added it back with a space, and then I added my first change. I don't know. I could not figure out why this is happening. But basically, the content now would be test would be there, and then there will be a space, and then my first change, which is what you see here. If you open this, that's what you see, test, then space, and my first change. And if I, before I again push this into the cloud, I have to commit. So maybe I'll type first change. So first of all, this is not a good way to describe the changes that we made. You have to put an appropriate title. You have to also add a description. But we'll get to that. I don't want to spend time on this right now. Let me commit. And here you see it's commit to main, meaning I am making this change such that it will be reflected in the main branch, not in any other branches. First of all, there are no other branches existing right now. So let me click commit to main. Then it shows push origin with a 1 here. 1 meaning these many changes are right now being pushed. And let me push this. And when I push this, it should hopefully reflect in the GitHub website. Now let's go back to GitHub website. This is the GitHub website. Let us refresh and see the change has been pushed just now. First change. And if we go to test.txt, you will see that it has 3 lines: test, a space, and my first change. So this is how you make changes reflect in the GitHub. Now let's try one more thing. What I will do is I'll go to text edit and format. I can probably make it into a rich text document. So I'm converting the format back into .rtf. So make rich text. So now converted the format into rich text, and I saved it. So once I save it, the GitHub desktop will show 2 changes. In fact, 3 changes. One is that I have removed the file called test.txt. Why? Because GitHub desktop does not know that I renamed it. I might have as well just deleted it and pasted a new file, right? So that's why it shows test.txt minus. And if I click here, test.txt minus means all the lines in test.txt is also gone. So that's why it's showing 3 minus signs and this red color. And here also you see this minus in red color. It means test.txt has been removed. That file has been removed. Instead, test.rtf has been added. That is this test.rtf with a green plus symbol. And if I click that, you will see that these are the lines. Now, don't worry if you see this weird thing. I have not added this weird thing. It's just the way rich text document format is represented. And the line, you can see that my test, then the space, and the my first change you can see over here. This is just the representation of rich text format in a textual format. And if you commit this, let's say I will say .txt to .rtf conversion. I just did this conversion to show you the meaning of this plus minus, and previously you saw like a square with a yellow dot. So now I'm committing this to main branch and pushing this to origin. And when I push this to origin, it should appear in my GitHub. So let me go here, click this to refresh. See, it has been converted to test.rtf. And do you see this .txt to .rtf conversion? This is exact same commit message that I typed. So this was, the commit summary that I had typed here previously. So whatever summary you type will appear over here. And if you click this, you can open the .rtf file, and this is the RTF file. All right. So if you have followed me until this point, great. You have done the first job of creating your first GitHub repository, cloning it for the first time using GitHub Desktop, and making some changes, publishing the first branch, and after that, making the same changes, making certain other changes to the main branch, and making all of that reflect in the GitHub website. I'll keep using the term GitHub website. Nobody uses that, but my only goal here is to not be correct, but rather to, not be, what shall I say, textbook correct, but rather to educate you. And if you have not followed me until this point, I highly recommend you to go back to the starting part of this particular video where we started working on GitHub Desktop. Just start the steps from the step 1, which was creating GitHub account, installing GitHub Desktop and logging into GitHub from GitHub Desktop, and then coming back to GitHub and making the repository and doing all these tasks. If you are an absolute beginner, I highly recommend you rewind a little bit and you do that before you proceed any further. So I hope by now you are a bit comfortable using GitHub Desktop, at least for the basic commands. Now what we will do is let us build a simple website, and we'll be pushing the changes that will reflect live into the hosted website, and we'll show you how all of this can be done using GitHub Desktop, GitHub, and also GitHub Pages. So GitHub Pages will be used for hosting the website. So first what I'll do is I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll ask ChatGPT to create HTML code for a very simple website. Maybe I can make it into a blog article, or no, let's keep it simple, a very simple website. So this is simple website body. Okay, so as the website code is being generated, okay, it's fully done. So let me copy it and let us go to GitHub Desktop. And here I will click open show in Finder. In Finder, obviously there'll be this is rich text document. So we have to open this and format it into plain text, right? So plain text is basically the .txt format. And here I will paste the code that was generated by ChatGPT. But here I'll just delete some of the styling and all. I don't think I need this. I'll keep it very simple. And I guess, or maybe I'll keep it, whatever. Let me keep the styling. I just want to see how this website looks like. And let me save this. So I have saved the code, and it should reflect here, because now what I have done essentially is it's as if I have removed completely the .rtf file. I have added a .txt file, and from RTF I have removed all this weird lines of code which you remember from my previous example. And in the test.txt I have added this line of all these lines of code, HTML code. Now what I'll do is I will open the folder in which the test.txt file is there. You can also open it by clicking GitHub Desktop, click repository, show in Finder. And what I'm going to do is I will rename this. So rename this as index.html. So index.html is basically, it automatically in Mac, you can automatically convert the website into a .html. I mean, you can convert the .txt into a .html so that it will look like a website. And I use the term index.html because usually in websites, the landing page, I mean, the main HTML document will be like index.html format. That's why. I don't know if any other name will work. I guess that also works, but let's keep it index.html. Now we can open this HTML file in Chrome by double clicking, but it will be in our local. This is opened locally. So this is not the URL of the website, right? And see, welcome to my simple website. Hello world. This is this. There are 3 buttons. and there is nothing, like nothing happens when you click this. So this is a very simple website. Now, will this website appear? I mean, will this index.html appear here? No, not yet, because we have not committed the code and we have not pushed the code into the, we have basically not uploaded the code from our local folder into the local repository into the GitHub online repository. So what we will do is let us go back to GitHub desktop. And now this time we'll see that .rtf has been removed and .html has been added. So all we did is we renamed the file. So previously what we did was, okay, one more thing before going ahead. Previously you saw .rtf was removed and .txt was added. Now you see that .rtf has been removed and .html has been added. Why is it not showing .txt has been removed and HTML has been added? Why is this not showing that? Because that's what we did, right? We renamed txt. So ideally this should show as if test.txt has been removed and index.html has been added. The reason why this is happening is because the last committed change that we had was, it had basically a test.rtf file. Then what we did is we first changed the test.rtf into a txt file, but we did not commit that change. So that change was, it was like a temporary thing. Then immediately we changed the test.txt into index.html. So essentially it is as if from the previous committed version, you are changing the test.rtf into index.html. So all the content, so here you will see a minus sign in the red color. All the content of test.rtf is removed, test.rtf file itself is removed, and index.html has been added. So we can commit the change. Now let's play a little bit. So in committing the change, what will happen if I see here, originally it's like this, right? I'll untick this. I will tick just the index.html and I will say added index.html. What can you predict what will happen right now? So I'll commit to main, and here it's asking us to push to origin. And origin means it's in the remote. So it's the remote, it's in the cloud, the GitHub website basically. So if I push this, can you predict what will happen? Do you think in the cloud, the test.rtf will be removed and index.html will be added? Let's see. Let's go back to GitHub website. And let's refresh. See what happened is test.rtf was not removed. It's there, but index.html was added. So both of these files are here now. And if you click index.html, you will see the code. See, this is the code. Can you guess why this happened? This happened simply because we had made two changes. I mean, at least the way GitHub perceived it is that there were two changes. One was that test.rtf has been removed, and second is that index.html has been added. Although we did not do these two things separately, all we did was we changed the file format from rtf to txt, then txt to html. We did not commit the part of that change which detected the removal of .rtf. So that change is still there. It is still uncommitted, which is why that uncommitted change was not pushed into the origin. But if we commit the change by clicking this and remove test.rtf, then click commit to main, and if we click push to origin, you will see that this change of removal of .rtf is now committed, and it will reflect, it is pushed and it will reflect in the GitHub. So let's go back to GitHub and click here to refresh. See, now .rtf has been removed. Where can you see all these changes? One way in which you can see these changes is where you can go here. You see this activity button, just click that. And here you can see all the activity. So here it's showing every single activity. Everything was just done today. So first initiated the repo, first change, then .txt to .rtf conversion. Then I added index.html. Then I removed test.rtf. So everything can be seen here. And you can also compare the changes. So for example, currently what is there in the main branch? In the main branch, only an index.html is there. Let us compare it with what was there initially. So initially it was just initiated repo, or rather the first change. In the first change, I think it was like a .rtf file. .rtf or .txt, I forgot. It was one of them, and it had just the line, it has just the word test in it. So let's click compare changes. And here we are comparing, okay, here we are comparing it with the next version, but I think we can also compare with the main branch. Let me go back. Yeah, so here we are comparing main with the change we pushed in the beginning, and you can see that this is the comparison. Basically, test.txt is removed, like that's what you see here in the red color, and this thing index.html has been added. And I think this is like this green color filling is like a length index of the length. I think the 56. I think there are 56 lines of code. Here it's only one line of code, and this much has been removed and this much has been added. That is basically the comparison. So if I minimize this, you see that this is how the comparison what is the comparison between the current version of the repo to the maybe the after the first commit, or rather after the branch initiation we did another commit, right? So we are comparing those two. So this is how it looks. Now let us go back to the code. In the code right now there is only index.html. Now what we will do is we will host this website using GitHub Pages. So for that, click on settings. And basically what we want is a URL, like a website where this can be accessed publicly. Right now this is locally. So maybe I can go here, and there is GitHub Pages somewhere. Yeah, Pages, click on Pages. Then there is deploy from a branch, not needed, I guess. Okay, yeah, so here select the main branch, then save. And I think we can put a custom domain. So Vishwara GitHub course, then save. So it won't be deployed yet. I think it takes 1 to 2 minutes for this to happen. So usually I wait for 1 to 2 minutes and then I refresh. Then it will show like a deploy message. So it might take that much time to get deployed. So I'll also wait until next 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, it barely took less than a minute, and the website has been deployed, and this is the URL of the website. So I can either click the URL or just click visit page. So let me click this, and this opens the website, and this is a public link. So if you go to this URL, you will get access to this website. So what I will do is I'll just maybe create a README file or something and then put this URL there. So let me go back to GitHub desktop, go to open in Visual Studio, sorry, show in Finder, and or maybe what's the easiest way to add README file? Here, maybe I'll add README here. So website URL, paste, and commit changes. So this time I made the change in the GitHub itself. So you can also do the same thing. So whatever we did on GitHub desktop, we can do the same thing on GitHub directly for many things. So commit directly on main branch. So we are making this change in the main branch itself. Commit changes. So now you will see that there is a README file. Now there is an interesting thing. I will show you one way in which you might lose some changes. So let's go back to GitHub, and GitHub desktop. Let's open in Finder the folder. So now this is the HTML file, right? And what we can do is, I think we can open this with maybe I'll open this with Visual Studio Code. You can open this with pretty much anything. I don't think there is any compulsion that you have to use Visual Studio Code. You can use text editor or anything that will allow you to edit the HTML file directly. But I just happen to have this Visual Studio Code. Don't worry if you don't have this, no problem. And here what I'm going to do is I will welcome to my simple. I will change it to Vishwara's website, and maybe what I can do is, there was, do you remember this black color background? Where was that? This is like a bit of black color, right? I'll change it to some other color. So maybe I think this is that color. I will change it to red or something like that. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so I changed the color. I saved it. Control S, save. So now this change will not reflect in the GitHub cloud. This is made in the local repository. So that's why here you see that there are some styling changes. So don't worry that you're seeing so many of these changes. It happened because I have installed like an extension called Prettier. So that Prettier extension, see, I'll do Control Z. That extension basically reformats the styling. Excuse me. I think I can just click save and how do I not have Prettier so that the number of changes are okay? I think I can untick this maybe. Okay, maybe now this issue won't happen. Let's see. It's still happening. I think it's just hiding the Prettier. It's not, eliminating the application of Prettier. Anyways, it's okay. I hope you don't get confused. There are a bunch of changes here, but it's because the Prettier has kind of reformatted the layout of the code. But don't worry, the only change that we have made is the color we have changed. Now, this color change will not reflect in the actual hosted website yet. So here, if we refresh, the actual hosted website still looks the same, whereas this one hopefully should look different. So, okay, this color has changed. Maybe I can also change the other black color, which is is it this perhaps? Maybe. Let's see. Okay, it's the header background color, I guess. Okay. So I save this, I refresh this. See, the local website has changed. So this is basically the local website, the hosted website, which is hosted from GitHub main branch. It's not changing. So see here, if I refresh, nothing happens. Anyways, even if something is supposed to happen, it will take 1 or 2 minutes. I'm instantly refreshing, but even if I wait for 1 or 2 minutes, nothing is going to happen. Now, let us do one thing. Let us go back to GitHub desktop. Can you tell me, if I click fetch origin, what's going to happen right now? Can you predict what will happen? If I fetch origin, the README file from origin will come here, right? So there is a README file that I added directly in GitHub that will be downloaded sort of into the local GitHub repository. There will be one more issue. The issue is that this color change which I just applied to the website, I have not committed the change. So what will happen to that? We should see that, right? So let me fetch the origin, because this shows it was last fetched 10 minutes ago. But within the last 10 minutes, I made these couple of changes in the website. So let me fetch this. And okay, so first I fetched it meaning, okay, the changes are available to be incorporated. And I'm pulling from origin. Pulling from origin meaning I am taking the changes from the GitHub cloud into the local GitHub repository. So let me pull it. And the change has been fetched. Now let's see what happens, what has happened in the local folder. In the local folder, now there is a README file. And in addition to that, let's see what has happened to the website, if something has happened to this or not. Okay, nothing has happened. Basically, that's because we have just added one minor change in the local website. Now what we can do is, let's say I make some changes and commit this color change to the header section and commit this to the main and push origin. Okay, so now this has been pushed to the origin. And this change will of course reflect in the GitHub website over here. In the code, you will see that index.html has been changed just now. And if we refresh the hosted website, of course, the color change should reflect there. Maybe it will take 1 to 2 minutes. So I'll wait for, I'll come back and show you that. I just want to simulate an experience of creating a getting things lost when you work on some things and when you don't commit those changes, but still you push something from the origin, right? So let's maybe try that. So first, let us see this change has been reflected. So the simple website looks like this. This is the hosted website. This simple website is not the hosted website. It's the local website. So that both look same now. Now what we should do is, I want to do something like index.html. I delete from here. I don't think we can delete directly from here, but rather we'll have to remove it from the local. But I can do one thing. I can literally remove everything here. I can edit and remove everything. So this is how you can directly edit code in GitHub itself. It has an editor, but it does not add much value. Nobody works directly in the GitHub editor. And commit changes. So remove all code from, this is the change, and then I'm committing directly to the main branch. So then what happened is all the code that is now there in the main branch in the index.html is gone. It's now an empty file. So if I click this, it looks empty. Now, what will happen is if I can fetch this change from origin. So the last fetch was 2 minutes ago. I just made the change within these last 2 minutes. So if I fetch from origin, the change will come, pull origin, meaning the change is ready to be incorporated. So let me pull. Okay. So I have pulled it. Now I'm just curious what happened to this guy. So index.html, let's see what happened. Go to the local index.html, refresh this, bam, gone. So website has been destroyed. So this is because whatever was there on the index.html in the local has been replaced by what was there on the cloud. Now let's do one more thing. I'll maybe copy this. This was our original code. I'll copy this and paste it in the index.html. And this time it will be black because see, this is the code that I'm copying from ChatGPT. So the color was not red, it was black. That's okay. So now the local thing will look like black. Fine. And now also this simple website will cease to exist. If I refresh this, this will be white color because in the main branch, the index.html has been like all the code in the index.html has been erased. So now let's go back to GitHub desktop. And in GitHub desktop, now we'll see that these are the changes because I copied something from all the code from ChatGPT and I pasted it in the Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is basically like a code editor. Now we have these changes, right? And one more thing I'll do is maybe I'll just introduce a new change in this index.html file directly in GitHub. And let me type maybe some test. I'm just typing something. Commit changes, commit within the main branch. So this change is directly being made in the GitHub, in the website, which means it's directly going into the cloud, but not into the local. So, and for the local, what I will do is I will fetch origin. There will be one change to pull because I made one change. See, pull origin, then click that. Now, do you see what happened? What happens is unable to pull when changes are present on your branch. The following files will be overwritten and basically index.html will be overwritten. Do you understand what's happening right now? What's happening right now is that in our local GitHub repository, which is on our computer, there are some changes. Basically, index.html looks like this. This index.html is the original ChatGPT generated website code. But what is being pulled from origin, I mean from the GitHub cloud, is this guy. It's an index.html file with just this one line called test. So what is this error message pop up? It says unable to pull when changes are present on your branch. On our main branch, there are some changes present, which is what you see in this green color, all of these lines of code, and this will be overwritten. Now, what will happen is that if I click stash changes and continue, basically all the changes that I had created, I had made was lost. So index.html, all the code that was written painstakingly, I mean, this time ChatGPT wrote, but imagine you had written it painstakingly, it's lost. And now if you, if you try to open the simple website, refresh this will be gone. It's just the test, this line. So this is how you can lose your changes. And here you can see the stash changes. You can restore this, but if you click discard, this will be permanently gone, I believe. But you can restore this so that it comes back here. See, it has come back. And now we can see what the index.html looks like. This is what it looks like. Do you see what is showing here? We just restored a change, but just before restoring the change, this test line was there. So now this code base is getting confused because the test was there, and now we are asking, okay, also restore the change of this entire HTML code. So what should GitHub do? How does it know whether we are asking to completely remove test and then replace it with the code, or we are asking to have both? So which is why in Visual Studio Code, you see these options. So if you look at this top part, you can see 4 options: accept current change, accept incoming change, accept both changes, and compare changes. Let's see, if we click compare changes, this is what it shows. Test was already there, and so if you compare, it's like we are adding this new set of code, and test was already there, it is being removed. But otherwise, okay, let me close this, and if we click, let's say, accept both changes, what will happen is the test will be there, and the the HTML code will also be there. If I click accept current change, it means that whatever was there currently will be retained. What was there currently? Currently, it had only the test line. So if I click this entire code will be gone. I'll show you. See, it's gone. Now let me click Ctrl Z. Whereas if I click accept incoming change, incoming changes the one that is the HTML code. So if I click that, test will be gone. Or if I click accept both changes, then both test and the code will be there. I hope you can see this. So now what I'll do is I'll accept incoming change because I don't want this test line here. Accept incoming change, Ctrl S, save, and go to GitHub desktop. So you can see that index.html is nicely set up. Test has been removed, and the other HTML lines of code has been added. And I will type website restored. Then commit to main and push origin. So this will reflect in the GitHub repository, and right now the website does not exist, right? Only this test line is there on the website. But in 1 minute, this change, whatever change we pushed into GitHub, will reflect also in the GitHub Pages website. And this index.html, which is the local file, as you can see from the URL, you can see that it is now back to whatever ChatGPT originally created. So this website should take maybe another few seconds to refresh, to update. Yes, so it has been updated. So this is how we can work on GitHub using GitHub desktop. And we saw some mistakes that can happen. We will pull some changes from the origin, and it might overwrite some things which we have already made, and it can result in loss of all the work. All right, all of this is good. Now let's try to create another branch. We had main branch right now, but main branch, let it stay like this. Let's create another branch. So what we can do is go to GitHub desktop, click here, and then see new branch. So I'll click new branch, and here I will say something like, maybe what I can do is I can create a new page or something, or new styling. Maybe I'll apply new styling. So this new branch is called new styling. So the branch has been created. And just like how it was when we created the main branch using GitHub Desktop, it shows publish branch. This is being shown because the branch does not exist on GitHub Cloud. We created it just now in GitHub Desktop locally on our computer. So let me publish the branch. Now, as this is getting published, it will reflect in the GitHub website. And where do you see this branch? You can see the branch when you click this here, new styling. So you click this to see the content of the branch. You will see that the new branch is created as a copy of the main branch. We can provide that option. So we can create it. But now I think we can create it based on the new branch also. Like if a second new branch is being created, we can create that second new branch based on the first new branch. So, okay, now let's do one thing. So currently the current branch is basically the new styling, this branch, meaning whatever changes we are making will get reflected in this branch. So let's do this. Let us first open show in Finder. We see that there is index.html. It is already open, right? It's open here. Now I have a question for you. If I change something like this here, welcome to simple website is changed to welcome to Visuara, right? So this is the change. And let's say I go to GitHub Desktop, title change. This is the summary that I'm putting, then commit to new styling, and then push to origin. Where do you think these changes will reflect? It will obviously reflect in the local HTML file. If I go to this local HTML file and refresh this, it is definitely going to reflect. See, welcome to Visuara. Will it reflect in this website? Do you think it will reflect in this website? No, it will not reflect. The reason is this website is using the main branch for its content. It's deploying main branch. It is not deploying the other branch. I think there is an option where we can deploy other branches also. So if we go to settings, if we click pages, yeah, it was already on pages. Here, I think we can deploy, instead of main, I think we can select this new styling branch. Let's try that. I don't know how quickly it will reflect in the actual website. Maybe it will take some time. So now we are deploying it from the new styling. So maybe after 1 or 2 minutes, hopefully we will see that this my simple website line will change to welcome to Visuara. Let's see how long it will take to make, make it implemented. I'll pause the video and I'll get back. I don't want to keep you waiting. Oh, yeah, it worked. So see, welcome to Visuara. And this is happening because right now we are deploying not from the main branch. It is from the new styling branch. We can change it back to main branch. Okay, so this is how branch creation works. Now let us do some simple operations. So we already are performing pretty much all operations, right? So this is how website creation works. Now imagine this is a product or service website, and you have, let's say, 10,000 customers, and they have access to your website through your public link. And you should not mess up this website, right? You should never ever push changes directly to this website unless you are so sure of it. So if you have a team of 2 people working at the same time to build features or to add more information into this website, you should not maybe push some half-baked things into this. You should verify it before any changes are being pushed. So let's see how 2 people can collaborate on this website. So far, we saw how to create a new GitHub repository, how to write the first line of code, which we can push into the GitHub repository, meaning upload from your local computer to that after cloning, of course. And we also learned how to make branches, a different branch, and make changes only to that branch. We also saw that in the web development project that we are currently doing, the changes that happen to the branch will affect the website only if the website is deployed from that second branch. If it is deployed from the main branch, only the changes that are made in the main branch will be reflected in the website. Now what we will do is we will simulate a situation where two people are collaborating on this website. And to simulate this, what I will do is I have already created a second GitHub account using a separate Google account, separate Gmail. And I will assume that that second GitHub account is my friend, but I myself will be making those changes. And then I will create something called as pull request from that second GitHub account into my original GitHub account that I have been using. And we will see how these changes can be approved or rejected. The changes that are proposed from the second account to the first account, how those changes can be approved or rejected as if we are approving or rejecting the propositions from our collaborators. And this will result in changes that will happen in the deployed website. So let's simulate that condition. So for that, let's first go into the new GitHub account that I have. So this is the new GitHub account I created using Visuara's Gmail. And I'll do something called as forking. So what I'll do is, let me go to my previous GitHub account. So this is the profile, right? This is the GitHub profile that I'm looking at. The URL that I'm looking at. So let me open that here. So what I just now did is using my second GitHub account, I opened the GitHub repository called Visuara GitHub course. Now I'll do something called as forking. So forking meaning I'll be creating my own copy of this Visuara GitHub course in the new GitHub account. So new GitHub account's name is Visuara account. So this is the name of the new GitHub account. The previous GitHub account name is Sridath. So from Sridath / GitHub Visuara GitHub course, I will fork, meaning I'll create an online copy into the new GitHub account. So let me click this fork and see where the fork is getting created. It's getting created in Visuara account. It's not getting created in Sridath. And this is available. This repository name is available because the previous repository, the name which we had used for the previous repository, which was the same name, but it was under /Sridath / Visuara GitHub course. Now it will be /Visuara account / Visuara GitHub course, right? And now here there is an option to copy only the main branch. Maybe I can do that. Now let me create the fork. So I want you to take a moment here and try to understand the difference between forking and cloning. In cloning, what we did is whatever GitHub repository was there on the website, we created a local copy on the computer. That was cloning. So cloning is kind of like downloading a copy here. In forking, when I forked from the first GitHub account, I created a copy in the second GitHub account. So it is still in the cloud up here. But in cloning, it's brought into the local computer. So that's the difference between forking and cloning. Now the fork, the repository itself, I can clone and I can make changes in my local computer and I can push it back. I can also make, request some changes to be reflected in the original repository from where I forked. So what I mean by that is currently the website is hosted from this GitHub main branch, right? So Sridath / Visuara GitHub course. And from that, in the main branch is where the website hosting is happening, meaning the website, whatever changes happen in the website will happen only if those changes are reflected in the main branch of this GitHub repository. But since I have forked the GitHub repository, the new GitHub repository is something like this /Visuara account / Visuara GitHub course. Now, whatever changes I make in this main branch will not reflect in the website. For that to happen, I have to request the changes to be reflected in that website, which is called as creating pull requests. And I'll show you how to do that. So firstly, let me maybe make some small change. And before that, maybe I can also have a look at what the latest shape of the website is. So go to settings. Oh, actually, the website link is here itself in the website URL in the README. So this is the website, right? Welcome to my simple website. This is the website structure. Now, let me go back to the new fork GitHub repo that I created in the second GitHub profile. And here I'll go to the index.html. This is the HTML code in the main branch of the new GitHub repo. And here what I can do is welcome to Visuara. I'll just click this edit this file button. So the reason why I'm editing using the GitHub editor rather than the GitHub desktop is because my GitHub desktop is currently connected with my original GitHub account. It is not connected with this Visuara GitHub account. So if I have to make these edits by cloning this into my local computer and then opening the file using the Visual Studio Code or using my Finder, I have to first connect my GitHub desktop with the new GitHub account, which I don't want to do right now. Let it stay as how it was before. Let it stay connected with my previous GitHub account. But here, what I'll do is, like in the new GitHub account, I'll make the changes directly here in the GitHub editor itself, because I'm only going to make simple changes for which I don't really need Visual Studio Code or anything. So here I'll do welcome to my simple website. I'll change as welcome to Visuara's website. So this is the change I made, and then I will commit the changes. So when I commit the changes, I'm committing directly to the main branch. Let me commit it. So now what happened is, the only thing that happened is the change got reflected in the main branch of the second GitHub account. Will this affect the deployed website? No, it's not going to affect the deployed website, because this deployed website is not being deployed from this main branch. It is being deployed from the main branch of the previous GitHub account. So see, nothing has happened to the website. Now, how can we make this change happen to the website? For that, for the website change to happen, I have to make the change reflect in the main branch of my first GitHub account. So for that, I will create something called as pull request. So let me show you how to do that. So go to here, click this pull request, and I can click new pull request to create a new pull request. So here, you can already see that here it's showing the changes that I made. So I removed, it's equivalent to removing this line, welcome to my simple website, and adding this line, welcome to Visuara's website. And here I am creating the pull request from main branch. So over here you can see, let me increase the font, maybe the zoom in. Where is the pull request created from? It is created from Visuara account / Visuara GitHub course in the main branch. We are making the change. We are creating a pull request into the Sridath / Visuara GitHub course, this branch, the main branch of this GitHub account. So let me create pull request. And while creating pull request, you have to put some very good title and description. So what I'm going to put as the title is change the header of the website. And here I will write, hi, please check my code where I have changed the header section of the website. Only one line change is made. The title of the website in the header will read Visuara's website. So I have described in sufficient detail what change I have made. Please never, if you are working in a collaborative project, please never create these pull requests without proper description, because it's very rude to do so. There are some proper etiquettes that you have to follow when it comes to creating these pull requests. And then what I'll do is, like, I'll create the pull request. So now the pull request has been created. So where should we go to see this pull request? We should go to the previous GitHub account. So from this Visuara's GitHub account, I'm going back to Sridath's GitHub account. And so this is Sridath's GitHub account, right? You can see that github.com/Sridath. The previous one is, the new one is github.com, github.com/ where is that? Okay, this is the forked one. So this is github.com/Visuara account. That will be this profile. If I click on the profile, see, this is the second GitHub account. So now what I'll do is I'll go to this Visuara GitHub course from the Sridath account, and you see that there is a pull request here. This is the pull request that was created from the second GitHub account into the first GitHub account. And I click here. So please don't get confused. What is the second GitHub account business? I'm just simulating the case where I'm working with a friend, because I'm just recording this lecture by myself. So I don't have another person in this room. So I would rather show you as if I myself I'm using two different accounts to simulate the condition where two people are collaborating at the same time on the project, on the website development project. So here I can see the description, the header, the title of the pull request. And if I click this, I can see the description I had typed earlier. Hi, please check my code, whether this is this, right? So now what I should do is I should ideally check the changes, right? So how can I check the change? Just click this file changed. And here you can see the change that was made. My simple website, that line was changed to Visuara's website. Fine. Now I can click review changes over here. And what I can also do is good one. And I will approve, submit review. And then I can just, so this is just my review, meaning my comments. And I'll just merge the pull request. So here, click merge pull request. Only then it will reflect in the actual main branch. So click merge pull request and confirm merge. So now the merge has confirmed, meaning the changes should ideally reflect in the main branch of this GitHub repo. So go to the index.html and you scroll down and you see that the change has been reflected and it's now reading Visuara's website. Now, if we go to the website, hopefully it might take 1 or 2 minutes depending on how much time website takes to update from GitHub, but it should reflect in the website header. So let me go to the website. So it's still reading my simple website. If I refresh 2 to 3 times, the change will reflect hopefully in a minute. So maybe I will pause the video and come back to this. Let me just do that. So, but you can also see this update that happened. Index.html was updated just 5 minutes ago. So that's basically this change. I hope this should be now ready. Yeah, see, the website has been updated now. It shows welcome to Visuara's website. So this is how you have to create. You can create a pull request from a forked repository into the original repository. So changes in the forked repository is not going to affect the original repository unless these pull requests are created and unless those created pull requests are merged, meaning approved by the original folder or whoever is managing that original repository. So this is the process of forking and creating a change, a request for a change. I hope you really understand the difference between forking and cloning. Forking is from cloud to cloud. You make a copy within the GitHub cloud from one repository to another repository, meaning from Visuara's, from Sridhar's profile, a copy was created in Visuara's profile. Cloning, initially what we did was from Sridhar profile on the cloud, we created a local copy in the local computer. We could have made a local copy for this in the local computer, but we did the editing in the GitHub's editor itself on the cloud. And then we created a pull request from this repository, which is Visuara's repository, into this repository, which was Sridhar's repository. And because the website is hosted based on Sridhar's repository, that change reflected in the website, which is what you are seeing right now, saying Visuara's website. So I hope this process is very, very clear to you. Before we try to understand conflict situations when two people collaborate on a GitHub repository, let's take a moment to pause and recap what all did we do so far. So I'll annotate it here in this whiteboard, in this blackboard. So first, what we did is we had a GitHub cloud, right, in which we had an account. So this is GitHub cloud. And we had a GitHub profile. This was Sridhar's GitHub profile. In this, we created a GitHub repository. So the repository name was, let me check. The repository name was Visuara GitHub code. So I'll just paste it here. And with Visuara GitHub course, that was the name of the repository. So this is the GitHub profile. Sridhar was the name of the GitHub profile and Visuara GitHub course was the name of the repository. Okay, that much is fine. Now what did we do? We wanted a copy of this repository on my local computer instead of it being in the GitHub cloud. Maybe what I'll do is like I'll denote this by some other shape. And I can put this here. So maybe this can be how I represent a particular repository. And I wanted a copy of this on my local computer. So what I did is I did cloning. I did not do forking. I initially did cloning. So cloning just does what? So cloning was initially done using GitHub desktop itself. And as a result, I had this GitHub repository on my local computer. And it was an exact replica. It was an exact copy. Let me just log this. So this was the this is now the copy of the repo. I'll just color this so that you can see it better. Right. So this is the copy of the GitHub repository that I have cloned onto my local computer. Then what we did, we made some certain changes on this repository. And whenever we made changes, those changes did not reflect in the cloud. To make those changes reflect in the cloud, we had to do this pushing the changes into the cloud. So we pushed the changes, which means, let's say this became version 2. That same change happened for this Visuara GitHub course repository on the cloud. It became version 2. So this is what we did initially. And so far, we did not try to simulate the case where two people were trying to collaborate on a particular website development project. And website was hosted elsewhere. So it could be hosted on GitHub Pages. It could be hosted on AWS, anywhere, right? So this was our website. And this website was basically based on the main branch of this repository. So whatever changes happened to the main branch of this repository in Sridhar's GitHub profile, that reflected in the website. Then what we did is we wanted to simulate the condition where two people were collaborating on the same website development project. So what we did was, since I am the only one who is recording right now, I wanted to simulate the condition. So I created one more GitHub account separately, and that GitHub account's name was Visuara something. Let me just write it. So this was the name. Let me just check what was the name, exact name. It was called Visuara account. So this is the new GitHub profile, not repo profile. In this Visuara account GitHub profile, we wanted a copy of this repository called Visuara GitHub course. So let me just delete these things. So what we did was something called as forking. So in forking, the exact same copy of this is connected and they are in synchronization. So whatever changes you make here will reflect in the repository over here. So I have to actually copy paste the repository. So let me copy this and let me also copy the text. Right. So this is how I had an exact same synchronized version of this repository in this account. So Visuara GitHub course was a repository originally owned by the GitHub account called Sridhar, but then I created a separate account, GitHub account called Visuara account. And you can imagine this as a collaborator of Sridhar, right? Imagine that this is a friend or a colleague who is working on the same website development project. And here the action that we did was called forking. Fork. This action was forking, but this was cloning. So cloning was different from forking. Now, of course, we can do clone this also. We did not do that. We made changes directly in the GitHub code editor itself. But I could have also done the same thing, like basically, I could have cloned this guy, assuming, so this is, let's say this is the second computer owned by the friend or colleague who is collaborating. That person could clone and work by themselves. But since this is a hassle for me because then I will have to log out from my Sridhar's GitHub account from my GitHub desktop, because I don't have two computers. I'm just recording using my one computer. I did not do this, but let's say another friend was working. They could log in GitHub desktop on their own GitHub profile, which is Visuara account. And then they could clone this into their local computer, make the changes and push it back, right? Okay, so this is what we did so far. And conflicts did not arise because whatever changes were made in the in this particular branch, in this particular GitHub repo, was reflecting here because of the fork. Now I'll explain one case in which a conflict can happen. And one more thing we discussed before going into the conflict is whatever changes this person makes can be made to reflect in the main branch over here, and that can ultimately reflect in the website. So we will also see how to do that. So this is how the second person, Visuara account, that person can actually make changes in this website by requesting the person who's handling this account to approve certain changes so that those changes can reflect in the actual website. This is how people collaborate on web development. And here I am showing just example of two people, but in reality, any number of people can collaborate. There are GitHub repositories for developing languages like Julia, in which 1500 or so people are collaborating at the same time from different parts of the world. They probably have not even seen each other ever. But this is how in principle it works. Now let's see how this person can propose a change and make it reflect in this website. And we'll also simulate a condition where a conflict actually happens. First, I will demonstrate you the occurrence of a conflict, and then I will explain why conflict happened and what exactly do we mean by conflict. So let me go to the Visuara's repo. So this is Visuara account, that repo, that account, and then Visuara GitHub course repo, and open index.html in the GitHub editor itself. So here I'm opening, and what I will do is I will change the header to make it read something else. So maybe I can write here, welcome to Visuara's updated website on, let's say I write September 9th. So I wrote this, and then I can commit the changes. So here, click commit. Then I say header change to September 9. I'm just writing it quickly. I don't want to add an extra description. And then click propose these changes. Then after proposing, you will see an option to create pull request. So here you see that the pull request is being created from this particular patch. So you see here patch 3. It simply means that you're looking at the change from welcome to Visuara's updated website that is removed and this is added, and that change is being pushed from the Visuara account's GitHub account into Sridhar's GitHub account into the Visuara GitHub course repo main branch. Here I can choose another branch, but I'll choose main branch only because that is directly connected to the website. Now let me create pull request, and here I will keep the title like this only, and then let me click create pull request. And I hope it should show that there are no conflicts. Let's see. See, yeah, so now it shows this branch has no conflicts with the base branch. Fine. This is fine so far, but now I will show you when that conflict can happen. So right now what I did is I suggested a change from Visuara's account into Sridhar's account. Basically from the forked repository into the original repo, I proposed a change, right? And the change is not been accepted yet, because to accept the change, I have to go to Sridhar's GitHub repo and I have to kind of approve the change. I have not done that yet, which is what we are going to do soon. And this is a case where the conflict has not happened, but I'll show you in this exact same example when a conflict can happen. So now let me open the other GitHub account. Not this. So here is the GitHub account, and in the pull requests, I should see a pull request that just got created now. Yeah, this is the pull request. Header changed to september9.html, right? So if I click this, it should show that there are no conflicts. See, the branch has no conflicts. But let me do one thing before I accept or before I merge the pull request. Let me go to GitHub Desktop and open the Visual Studio code. And what I will do is, so here, the reason why this is showing welcome to Visuara's updated website is because the pull request created from the other GitHub repo, Visuara's GitHub repo, is not being accepted. What you see right now is the clone of the Sridhar's GitHub repo, right? So here I will type, instead of September 9, I'll type September 13th. So this change is what I made. On the other hand, the exact same line was changed to something else in the pull request. Now let me save this. In the GitHub desktop, we'll see that this one line has changed. So here I'll just type September 13th, then commit to main and push origin. Okay, so now the change should reflect in the GitHub cloud. So over here, you should see that index.html reads September 13th as the latest. But now let's go to the pull requests and see if something has happened to the status of the merge pull request, whether any conflict is arising right now or not because of this change that we made. See, now this shows that this branch has conflicts and it must be resolved. Do you understand why this is happening? The reason why this is happening is because when the pull request was created, this September 13th thing was not existing in the header. It was just reading welcome to Visuara's website. And when we created the pull request, the details of the pull request was this header has been changed. I mean, I'm qualitatively describing, but you saw the way in which GitHub tracks these changes, plus with the new line added, minus with the line that has been modified or removed. So, but the change essentially was from the header was originally reading welcome to Visuara's website. And then when the pull request was created, it was reading welcome to Visuara's website on September 9th. But then before we accepted that request, we changed the original welcome to Visuara's website in Sridhar's GitHub into welcome to Visuara's website September 13th. Now the created pull request now has a conflict because it said it originally said the change was made from welcome to Visuara's website into welcome to Visuara's website on September 9th. But now that original welcome to Visuara's website itself is gone all in the first place. So this has created the conflict. So when I click this resolve conflicts, you will see where exactly this conflict is occurring, and you will see that it's in the same line. So I clicked resolve conflict, and here you can see that so this red thing, right, this is actually a line. So when I highlight this, I don't know why they chose this kind of a font, but basically you should be able to read this. So this reads welcome to Visuara's updated website on September 9th. This was from the pull request, and here it is welcome to Visuara's updated website September 13th. So actually what do you want, right? The original owner, who is Sridhar, made the change that this is September 13th, whereas the other guy, Visuara account, that person made the change that it is September 9th. Which one should I accept as the owner of the repo? I can choose to accept whichever I want. So maybe, so here you'll see that you see this two red squares, I mean part of the squares, square brackets. What this shows is one is an already existing change and one is an incoming change, and here I can choose whether to accept one of them. So maybe what I can do is I can just delete this part over here. Just go to the, I think I have to open this in the editor. Actually, no, I can directly edit here. So delete this, then delete this, delete this. Now the conflict would have been resolved, and here at the top, if I scroll up, it shows an option mark as resolved. So let me click mark as resolved and commit merge. Now the pull request will be merged with a certain change. But I essentially, okay, it's not merged yet, but I have to click here, merge pull request. But essentially, I did not accept the change that was proposed by the other person, because the other person had proposed a change September 9th. But now I have basically accepted the version which says September 13th. So that person's pull request, although I'm merging it in such a way that essentially their proposed change will not reflect in the website. So these things can happen. I mean, it's fine, but this is how you collaborate on GitHub. So here I click merge pull request, and here I will say something like, there is an even more updated version on September 13th. So I am using that in the header, but good job on creating the pull request. So I just, this is just a note that I'm giving to the person who created the pull request, and then I click confirm merge. So once I click the confirm merge, this should reflect in the main branch of this repository. So the main branch should not have September 9th, it should have September 13th. And that's what you see here. And if you go to the website link is this, it should reflect in a minute or so. Yeah, it's already reflected. Welcome to Visuara's updated website, September 13th. So this is how people collaborate. But now let me show you another case of this exact same case where there is no conflict. So let me go back to Visuara's GitHub. So here you will see that the September 13th change has reflected. So I'll click this. Oh, sorry, I'll click the open the code. Actually, I don't want to see the details of the change, and then click editor. And then here, let's say I type September 16th. Then I click commit changes. And here I type September 16th, propose, create pull request. Okay, here it's already written September 16th. So then I'm creating the pull request. So now the pull request has been created from Visuara to Sridhar. I hope you are not getting confused when I'm switching between tabs. So whenever I'm editing directly in the GitHub's editor, I'm doing that in Visuara's account. Whenever I make changes in a code in Sridhar's account, I will do it from the Visual Studio Code on my computer. Now let me go back to Sridhar's GitHub repo. So here, go to click pull requests. I think I may have to refresh. Yeah, I think this is the pull request, update index.html. And here it says September 16th. And here there are no conflicts, because it's just directly changing the September 13th to September 16th. So it's a straightforward change. There is no conflict. You can click merge pull request, and then I just click confirm merge. And once I do this change in a couple of minutes should reflect in the website, because this change will happen in the main branch now. See, in the main branch, it should read September 16th, and it should also reflect in the website in 1 or 2 minutes. So here it has reflected. It took hardly a minute. So this is a case where there is no conflict. Let me show you one more case where changes are made and a pull request is created from Visuara to Sridhar. And let's also make some other change in the Sridhar's GitHub repo before accepting or before merging the pull request. And let's see if a conflict will always happen or not, right? So now I'm going back to the Visuara's GitHub, this one, and I will click index.html. And I'm going to delete this September 16th Visuara's updated website only. I don't want the September 16th. I'll just delete that. Okay. And let me commit the changes. And after committing, it shows the create pull request option, and I'm creating a pull request. So I'll just write Sep 16 removed. So pull request has been created, but now in parallel, what I will do is I will go to GitHub desktop and I will fetch the origin, which is the latest version of the GitHub repo from Sridath. And here it shows pull origin because some changes have been made. So I'm pulling the origin, and let me open the repository in Visual Studio Code. So this is what the Visual Studio Code looks like. So I will not touch this line now. What I will do is probably I will do something like, I'll change this line as here are my products and services. So I changed a different part of the code. Then I'll save this, go to GitHub desktop, and that is the change. Then I'll type here change line 51. The pull request actually changed which line? The pull request change was in line 40, right? The September 16th was removed, but this change is in line 51. So I just type that and then I push to origin so that the changes that I made in my local computer is reflecting in GitHub Cloud in Sridath's account. So now I go to that GitHub. So this is Sridath's account, and let me check the code. Index.html. So here it says change to line 51. Sorry, changed line 51. So line 51 has changed. I mean, line 40 is still the same, September 16th, because the removal of September 16th was made into a pull request, but I have not accepted it yet. But here you can see the change. Here are my products and services. But now let me go to pull requests. And here, this is the pull request. And just check if there is any conflict or not. Merge conflict or not. There is no merge conflict. The reason is the change that we made now is in a different line. It's in line 51. So, but previously, the pull request had a change made in line 11. But then before accepting the pull request, sorry, line 40. But before accepting the pull request, the mother branch itself made another change in line 40. So that created the conflict. But now the pull request was again made in line 40, but before accepting the pull request or before merging the pull request, another change was made in the mother branch, but that was made in line 51, which is why the conflict did not arise. And here I can directly merge the pull request. Now you will see two changes happening into the website. One change would be this line this line 51 would have changed to read here are my products and services, and line 40 would also change, meaning in the website header, the September 16th should not be there anymore. And in the products and services, it should just read here are my products and services. So let us open the website, refresh it to see if those changes have been reflected already or not. Okay, this change has been reflected because this was made from when I push the changes from my local computer into GitHub, but this is from the approval. The removal of the September 16th is based on the approval of the pull request, and I just did that like less than a minute ago, which is why it's taking time to get approved. So let me refresh. Yeah, once I refresh, those two changes have reflected on my website. So the September 16th thing is gone, and here the text was something different before, and now it is reading here are my products and services. And if I go to GitHub desktop, I will see that I will have one change to fetch. Like if I click this fetch origin, can you predict what should I see? I should see that there is a change that I have to fetch. And why is that the case? Because I just accepted the pull request on GitHub Cloud, and that pull request basically removed the word September 16th from the header. But that change has not reflected in my local GitHub. How do you know that? Because you see that September 16th is still here in my local computer. So I have to click pull origin, fetch origin, and pull origin. And when I click this pull origin, this change should be reflected here. See, now when I open GitHub Visual Studio Code, that September 16th in the line 40 is gone. So this is the workflow. I hope if you don't understand this 100% yet, just pause this lecture, rewind it and watch it again. Maybe pause it wherever you want to pause and try to really wrap your head around what we were trying to do just now. I will give you one more round of recap by going to the Miro board. So let me do that.